Thanks for watching this portion of Garage Logic on our YouTube channel, and thanks to our friends at Everest Men's Health for supporting this. Go to everestmenshealth.com to see if their team can help you with stronger energy and better health. And catch the Garage Logic podcast wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.
Somebody who looks like a young John Kennedy named Devin Hogan wrote a piece, an editorial guest piece. Well, I'll read it for you. Officials from both parties are condemning the chairperson of the Minneapolis DFL party for calling the 2020 burning of the Third Precinct police headquarters a genuine revolutionary moment for the city of Minneapolis. In an opinion piece called "The Cops Started It," written for South Side Pride, what is that, a community newspaper?
Right, in South Minneapolis, yeah.
Devin Hogan said the fire was an act of pure righteousness to open new worlds of understanding, calling it a genuine revolutionary movement and saying the people declared themselves ungovernable, and unilaterally took their power back. Well, they're ungovernable, that's for sure. Minnesota DFL party chair Ken Martin said the burning of the precinct hindered efforts to pass police reform bills. In a statement on Twitter shared by at least one other Democratic lawmaker, Martin wrote, "We are not anti-law enforcement. We are pro-public safety." Martin also called Hogan's words dangerous, violent, and inflammatory rhetoric. In an opinion piece for the Minneapolis Reformer, I have that piece. "I think Devin's justification for burning down a police precinct is just wrong," Martin said in an interview Wednesday, adding that Hogan's piece does not represent the views of everyone in the party. Just reminding you of anything? Some Republicans said the words exemplified Democrats' push to defund the police. On Tuesday, Minnesota Republican Party Chairwoman Jennifer Carnahan said they demonstrated that Democrats believe destruction is the pathway to change. U.S. Representative Tom Emmer, Republican Minnesota, also weighed in on Twitter, calling Hogan's statements proof Democrats only care about advancing their radical agenda, not the safety of Americans. Hogan said Wednesday night that immense amounts of praise have come in response to the article. "All I'm trying to do is tell the story of what happened from the perspective of the people that were in the situation that the police were escalating," Hogan said. Well, he's a liar. Who is this guy, Johnny? I called you and you said you were going to do a little diving. I bet Kelsey will tell us what he had for dinner last night. By the time Kelsey gets done deep diving on this guy. Who is he, John?
Well, he ran for the park board in 2017. That's where I got most of the information about him. He's made his Facebook and Twitter private, so I couldn't get to those. But he describes himself as a queer, non-binary outdoor sports enthusiast. In 2017, when he ran for park board, he was vice president of the Lindale Neighborhood Association. He has a couple of degrees, including a master's degree in international development practice from the Humphrey School at the University of Minnesota. And at the time of that writing, he owned a home in South Minneapolis. He moved here from Chicago because he wanted to study here. And he describes a lot about himself politically, saying he learned at college how the global financial system drives trickle-down oppression, including in Minneapolis and in our parks. "I see the world through my liberal arts degrees. As the child and grandchild of small business owners, I value treating workers right." He says he's a futurist. He says he cares for our city and he wants it to lead with dignity and decency. He's a neoliberal free park board member, he says, and he wants to develop policies that prioritize people. He said, "We're proud of our system, but we also know Minneapolis is the tale of two cities. We owe our multiple national awards to both stolen land and the foresight of elected officials generations ago." So that's he also works, by the way, or worked as a partner with IRL, an executive assistant to the president of RKF, which is an international recruiter and administrative coordinator for the American Refugee Committee. That's all I could find.
He's justifying the burning of that police station as an act of pure righteousness to open new worlds of understanding.
Oh.
Do you think if rioters went to his house and burned it down, he would accept that as an opening to new worlds of understanding?
I was wondering if he got kicked in the crotch and then kicked in the face and then his car keys stolen and then his car used in a number of crimes over the next couple of days, if that would be okay.
Before we continue, can you groin kick this guy, please?
Oh, I didn't know that was coming up.
This is a groin kick if I've ever heard one. Honest to God, I'm looking at a picture of him in the Star Tribune. Even the Star Tribune had to write this story. He looks like a young Kennedy family member. Very handsome. He's got the Opie haircut. I mean, he looks clean cut, and he's got a nice smile. And obviously, he's been privileged to beat hell with all his college degrees in the failed academy. But he deserves a groin kick.
Deserves this.
Now, this puts Ken Martin, the state party chair, in the position of just doing another John Thompson speech. We don't agree with him, Ken Martin says. Okay.
Thanks.
We don't agree with John Thompson, Ken Martin says. But these are your people, Ken. This is your party. This party is unrecognizable to anyone who remembers when the DFL was sane. This is not the Democratic Farmer Labor Party.
I think Jacob Fry also chimed in and said it's just bricks and mortar.
Yeah.
I think he said that.
This is a party of Mysterians. They've taken it over. They're winning. And all this Ken Martin character can do is keep saying, well, they don't represent us. Yes, they do.
Yes, they do.
This is your party. This is what it's become. John Thompson quite probably was living in Wisconsin. As I said yesterday, John Thompson either lied to Wisconsin authorities or he lied to Minnesota authorities. He lied either way. One way or the other, he lied. Nothing can be done about John Thompson. This is your party. Of this Devin Hogan buffoon, Ken Martin wrote, I was appalled to read a recent op-ed by Devin Hogan, the chair of the Minneapolis DFL, in which he calls the burning of the Third Precinct in Minneapolis a genuine revolutionary moment and an act of pure righteousness. I condemn Hogan's dangerous, violent, and inflammatory rhetoric. Let me be clear. These comments reflect the view of one person, Devin Hogan. They do not reflect the views of the Minnesota DFL party or the Minneapolis DFL party. The hell they don't. Of course not unanimously, but to a great many people in what is now called the DFL, they're going to be cool with Hogan's comments. They're going to be fine with them. And they certainly do not reflect the views of any elected officials in our party with whom I have spoken. Well, they must, because you're tolerating John Thompson. The Minnesota DFL party fully supports reforming our policing and criminal justice systems to increase transparency, improve accountability, reduce the use of violence, and root out systemic racism. Nobody should fear for their life during routine encounters with law enforcement. They don't. We can and must do better, which is why DFLers are relentlessly pursuing reform. No, you're not relentlessly pursuing reform. You're relentlessly pursuing a looming catastrophe. And then it goes on to say, it's all, he gives you the outer speech. He says, Hogan's logic that violence can be righteous is if the change we seek is not forthcoming, is reminiscent of the justification offered by the deranged individuals who seek to murder abortion providers. Well, Martin's all over the map here. My fellow DFLers and I know the change is still urgently needed. We also know that the majority of law enforcement agents are good people looking to do right by the community they are charged to protect and serve. We respect those honest law enforcement agents and work they do, which is why we believe they should be held to a high standard of conduct. Hogan's disturbing remarks do not speak for our party. Can they do? If you want to know where DFLers stand, look to the criminal justice reforms our party enacted last year and look to the fact that we successfully continued to fight for reform this year. DFLers are not anti-law enforcement. We are pro-public safety. Our party is committed to building a policing, criminal justice, and public safety system that does right by each and every Minnesotan. Burning down a police precinct is not only illegal, dangerous, and wrong. How many people have been jailed, John? For burning it
down.
Yeah.
There's 4 charged. 2 have already been, they all took plea arguments. 23-year-old Brandon Wolf is serving 41 months, and you might remember, $12 million restitution he must
That's
pay.
right. I
right.
forgot
That's
about
right.
that. Yeah.
Same with Dylan Shakespeare, who got 4 years, $12 million restitution, and 2 others have been charged, but they're not yet sentenced for the burning of the precinct.
Just as we learned yesterday that there are the heads of various departments in Hennepin County who don't even live in the state, and it got me fulminating about who in the hell's running the show. Well, why should this Devin character continue to be the party chair in Minneapolis?
You're right. He should be removed.
He's praising violence.
But he's not alone, Joe.
No, I know, but why is he holding this position? Is Ken Martin going to do anything about that?
Of course not.
No, he's not going to do anything about John Thompson.
By the way, really quick, I could have hit this button about a dozen times when you were reading that, so I got to fire this once.
We don't know
Thank you.
that.
Okay,
I had to-
thank you, because have you read the full piece that he wrote, Joe? It is so full of lies. I have never read a bigger pack of lies in my life. I sat and watched this protest on Lake Street in front of the Third Precinct on Lake, between basically the Target and the Third, unfold on live on a website that I'm not going to name because they're a bunch of commie pigs. But I watched it unfold, and everything this guy is saying that night that he says happened, it was the opposite. It didn't happen that way at all. He said the reason the Third burned was because provocation, that the cops started it. That they were firing less lethals, just random,
No, they
at
weren't.
people that weren't doing anything. And these people that weren't doing anything were throwing rocks, being violent. They were.
Remember, the one weapon of choice was canned goods
Yep.
and frozen cans
Yeah.
of pop.
I did not read the piece, Kenny. I should. I'll have to go to does Southwest Pride have a website?
Hold on, I will send you the link right now.
All right.
Because I'm looking at it right now, and it's worth looking at.
But to believe that this was an act of righteousness to open new worlds of understanding, this guy's disturbed. What new world of understanding am I supposed to understand by the destruction of a police precinct?
Well, he's a straight up liar, as far as I'm concerned.
And again,
Every-
if he had his house burned down by protesters, would he think that's opening the world to new understanding?
No, he'd go with the, what would he go
He'd
with?
probably call the police.
Right. Well, no, he would go with this is an act of, whatever. Insert your-
Righteousness.
yeah.
Oh, this is pathetic. This is your DFL, folks.
Does the same rule apply that we applied to Thompson?
What rule is that?
If he ran again or whatever, he'd probably be reelected?
Well, he obviously appeals to the party in Minneapolis. They've made him their chairperson. He's the
Where's the
chair
party?
of the city's party.
And Sid,
Where's the party?
it's going
It's
haywire.
gone, Sid. It's just absolutely gone. When the head of the party is praising that violent and dangerous destruction as opening the world, opening new worlds of understanding, you are full of BS, pal. Just absolutely a product of the failed academy, hands down. It's just incredible. And you put Ken Martin in this comical position that he always finds himself in, saying, "This isn't us. This isn't our party, John Thompson. This isn't our. Oh, we condemn what he did." Devin Hogan. No, that's just one guy's opinion. It's one guy who happens to be the party chair in Minneapolis. This wasn't some anonymous citizen. This is the guy who has clout with the party in Minneapolis.
It's laughable.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
The fact that he went private on his socials proves that he's a lying coward.
Of
And
course.
he knows he's lying.
Steve Mulholland, who has to be lonely as a GLer in the belly of the beast over there, writes, Devin Hogan is the chairman of the Minneapolis DFL and has published a manifesto of sorts proclaiming the burning of the Third Precinct last summer to be revolutionary. He went on to call it an act of pure righteousness to open new worlds of understanding. The people declared themselves ungovernable and unilaterally took their power back. I will agree, writes Mulholland. Those people are indeed ungovernable. They do not follow laws, nor do they have any inkling of what it means to live up to any kind of social contract, much less be a productive member of society. They are anarchists, and this clown is no better. He's an idiot leading like-minded idiots, and is further evidence of why the current state of affairs in the city of Minneapolis is so bleak. May November come through with a thorough house cleaning in the salon. Keep pushing back. Loyal GL listener, in the belly of the beast, Liberal Lakes area of Minneapolis, Steve Mulholland. Oh, and he linked me to the full piece in the Southside Pride, too.
Yeah, and I just sent it to you.
Yeah.
I think you should open it up and read it. Otherwise, I can read it to you. I've got a bunch highlighted here.
Yeah, read me
It's-
the highlights.
Okay. He prefaces everything by mentioning 2015. At the 4th Precinct in 2015, it took 4 days of occupation and several orders to disperse late in the evening before the MPD started tear gassing people. In 2020, the MPD started shooting lethals at angry teenagers and other crowds who had gathered at the 3rd Precinct on the first afternoon. It was unprovoked and at random. Our boys in blues were showing off. The youth of Minneapolis have grown up seeing police murder people who look like themselves without consequences. They are out of F's to give. Deliberately antagonizing them was a cruel excuse to give opportunity to knock heads. Everything that followed was a proportional response. More protesters gathered at the 3rd Precinct, incensed by the raw provocation. The indiscriminate shooting increased. People threw garbage cans at squad cars. The mayor called it blowing off steam. More showed up as the days went on. The less lethals became nonstop. People hid behind bus shelters and moved dumpsters into the streets to protect themselves from the unpredictable violence, sometimes setting them alight. Now listen to this nonsense. The Target across the street wouldn't let protesters into the store to purchase poster board and markers to make signs.
Oh my God.
It got looted. Brand new flat screen TVs and other what is that word? And other things were used to build more barricades. Joe, those flat screen TVs that they looted that night, the next day were for sale in the Target parking lot by the people that looted them. Anyway, at this point, the world was paying attention. Friends and family were reaching out to me. How come words won't satiate people? Why Minneapolis? The cops started it, I replied. They killed George Floyd and took every opportunity to escalate, agitate, and make things worse. The cops are rioting and the people are responding. Now, here's the payoff.
People are rioting and the police were responding.
That's exactly right. Now, here's the big paragraph that got him in so much trouble. Like it or not, setting the 3rd Precinct on fire was a genuine revolutionary moment, an act of pure righteousness to open new international human rights movements in modern, Hold on, I lost my place. An act of pure righteousness to open new worlds of understanding. The people declared themselves ungovernable and unilaterally took their power back. The largest international human rights movement in modern history had begun.
What does he call Tiananmen Square, I wonder? That might have been a bit larger than
You think so?
Lake Street. Yeah. This guy is disturbed. And again, people, he is the chair of the DFL party in Minneapolis. And I predict he will continue to be.
Everything he said about the night the precinct burned is a lie.
Yeah.
Everything. I watched it all unfold. The protesters started everything.
Just amazing.
The police were defending
Kenny,
themselves in the building.
The peaceful protesters, remember? The peaceful protesters.
They wanted to buy marker board and markers for signs. Are you kidding me? They wanted to loot that store is what they wanted.
Right. Well, I don't know what to do about this.
Was it the Target that the elderly woman in the wheelchair was pushed over right before all the
I
TVs
thought that was in front of a Walgreens.
Oh, it was at Walgreens. I'm sorry. It's tough to keep them
Guys,
all straight.
I was down there in that Target parking lot the next morning at 10:30. They were still going in and out of buildings with stuff. The smoke shop down there, they were still going in and out of buildings. I have it on tape, actually. I sat there in my truck and videotaped these guys going in and out of the smoke shop.
Do you also remember the smell in the air that weekend?
Oh, it's just burning garbage.
It was awful.
Yeah.
But, climate change, we got to blame climate change on the fires coming from Canada.
Yesterday, I was hopeful that the no vote on the yes from Minneapolis charter ballot question would not prevail. Today, I'm not as hopeful. This guy obviously has a following to the point where he is the head of the DFL party in Minneapolis. You got to keep this in mind, too. Brooklyn Park just had a vote for mayor, by which the winner won by one vote. There's 80,000 people in Brooklyn Park and 7,000 people voted. So now here comes November in Minneapolis.
What?
That's right.
What?
That's right. Here comes November in Minneapolis, a city of hundreds of thousands, and a small percentage, presumably, will vote. And that small percentage will be people encouraged by the likes of this dangerous fellow.
So this is why we need mail-in balloting.
Oh, God, help me.
One aside regarding Southside Pride. The guy that runs Southside Pride would prefer to live life under Stalin. That's how far gone he is. My roommate would not allow this thing in the house. Some of my other neighbors read it just for the yucks, just because it was so ridiculously far left communist, just beyond pale. And the reason I'm saying this is this piece by Devin wouldn't see the light of day anywhere else in the metro than Southside Pride.
I bet the Star Tribune wouldn't have printed it.
No, absolutely not. No.
You think so?
I'm reasonably
do.
confident that the Star Tribune would not have printed that. I'm reasonably confident he didn't even bother to submit it to them.
We don't know
Well,
that.
they're not that far gone.
Okay.
They're pretty gone, but they're not that far gone.
Okay.
Because this is outright chaos. This guy's calling for. This is outright
it's
anarchy.
lie. It's lie. It's all a lie.
He did. Did you see him try to backtrack yesterday?
No.
Where is it? He told Fox News, "People have seized on the word righteousness as if I'm the one assigning it moral value. That's not the case. It's meant to convey how the protesters felt at the time in response to their condition." Whatever that means. He says he's not advocating violence. He said the truth hurts. Accurately describing reality is not a call to arms.
But you didn't accurately describe it, Bill.
Exactly.
Right.
Evidently, it hurts for him to tell the truth, evidently.
Exactly.
That's amazing. And you say he's a queer, non-binary outdoor sports enthusiast.
That's correct. That's how he described himself in 2017 when he was running for the park board. He lost that election, by the way.
He
did not make
makes
it.
the people that burn the precinct down sound like they're heroes.
Right. Right.
And need we remind him? Two of the four are in prison right now.